All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the moment AI basically crashed one of music's biggest parties, the MTV VMAs.
So get this, at the 2024 MTV VMAs, one artist did exactly that. And it was a huge, jaw-dropping moment, really a turning point in this whole tech revolution that's been bubbling up for a while now. But, this didn't just happen overnight.
To really understand how we got to this point, we got to rewind a bit, because technology didn't just randomly appear at the VMAs one day. Nope, it was actually born out of necessity, and man, did it evolve fast.
And the speed of this change, it's honestly kind of staggering. I mean, think about it. In just 4 years, the show went from using these virtual XR stages, mostly because they had to during the pandemic, to slapping cool AR graphics all over the live show, and then even creating a whole new award just for metaverse performances. The VMAs basically turned into this high-tech spectacle, and it was all building up to something big.
Remember the 2020 virtual show? Early stuff like this really proved that tech could be an amazing tool for artists. Lady Gaga took a health mandate, wearing a mask, and turned it into this incredible fashion statement. Her mask literally pulsed with her voice. It was just a perfect symbol for that time, right? Super creative, totally tech-driven, and yeah, a little bit weird, in the best way.
And they just kept blurring those lines between the real world and the digital one. I mean, this performance was a trip. 1 second, Eminem and Snoop are on the actual stage, and the next, they're their Bored Ape NFT avatars in some crazy psychedelic metaverse. It was a huge signal that the VMAs were all in on Web3 culture, way before generative AI became the main event. So, all of this experimenting, all this tech, it was all leading up to 2024. This was the year AI wasn't just some background effect or a niche award category anymore. No, this time it was the star of the show's opening act.
And this was the moment that just blew everyone's minds. It showed what modern AI is truly capable of. The performance was so realistic, so convincing, that people in the audience were just stunned. Like, were they actually watching time travel happen live? The bleach blonde Slim Shady from 1999? He was back, rapping right there next to the Eminem of today.
So what exactly is this technology that made this impossible duet possible? Well, it's called a deepfake. You've probably heard the term. But pulling one off live, in real time, with millions of people watching, that's a whole other ballgame. Seriously complex stuff. So, how in the world did they pull this off? Well, the studio, Metaphysic, used this really cool 3-step process. First, they fed their AI hours and hours of old footage to learn every single one of Slim Shady's facial expressions from back in the day. Then, during the show, a live body double was on stage doing all the moves, and the AI did a face swap in real time, plastering young Eminem's face onto the double, matching every little movement instantly. Just incredible.
And you know what? All that crazy tech paid off. Houdini ended up winning Best Visual Effects. This made it the very first VMA ever given to a performance starring an AI-created character. That's a huge deal. It was basically a historic stamp of approval for AI as a legit creative tool.
And it wasn't just the OGs like Eminem embracing the stuff. Younger Gen Z artists are getting in on it too. Take Sabrina Carpenter's performance. Okay, so the alien was a costume, not AI, but the whole vibe was about creating this wild, theatrical moment. It was basically designed from the ground up to go viral and become a meme, perfectly crafted for the internet age.
Okay, so Eminem's performance didn't just win an award, it launched AI right into the mainstream conversation. It put a massive spotlight on this fierce debate that was already bubbling up in the music industry. The big question became, is this new tech a creative gift, or did we just open Pandora's box?
And yeah, the music world is totally split on this. On one side, you've got people saying, hey, AI is just another awesome new tool, like the synthesizer or the drum machine was for earlier generations. But on the other side, people are seeing it as this massive threat to the very soul of human art.
So you have supporters like the legendary producer David Guetta, who argue that AI is just the next step in the evolution of music. He actually famously used AI to copy Eminem's voice for a live set. Now, he didn't release it or anything, it was just to show how it can spark new ideas and push creative boundaries. For him, AI is the assistant, not the artist.
But then you have the critics, like musician Nick Cave, who have a much darker take. He basically warns that since AI can't feel anything, it can only imitate the data behind human suffering and soul. It can copy the style, sure, but it can never ever truly create that feeling from scratch. In his view, that makes it just a hollow mockery of real art.
And this whole debate really exploded back in 2023 with Heart on My Sleeve. Remember that? The viral song that used AI to clone the voices of Drake and The Weeknd, completely without their permission. That track became the flashpoint for this whole conflict. It was catchy, yeah, it fooled millions of people, and it was a huge problem. It perfectly captured that central question: where does cool, new innovation cross the line and start violating an artist's rights and their very identity?
So that leaves us with the biggest question of all, right? Where does music even go from here? And if the VMAs are any indication, the future is going to be even more packed with tech and probably a lot more complicated. So what can we expect at the next VMAs and beyond? Well, we'll probably see more of these impossible AI duets, maybe with past versions of artists or even with icons who are no longer with us. I wouldn't be surprised to see new award categories like Best Use of AI. And you can bet we're going to see artists use their acceptance speeches to make big statements, either for or against AI.
Look, at the end of the day, the 2024 VMAs didn't give us any easy answers. What it did do was put the big question on the world's biggest stage for everyone to see. It showed us, without a doubt, that this technology is here, it's incredibly powerful, and it's moving at lightning speed. And it leaves all of us with this massive question that's really going to define the next chapter of music.